welcome to Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer, and this is my friend Chubbles. Say hello, Chubbles. And today we're going to be discussing Atari Homebrews Part 2. All of the homebrews that are going to be featured in today's episode have been nominated for this year's Atari Awards. So after you view this video, head over to atariage.com and vote for your favorite homebrews, hacks, demos, and others for this year's Atari Awards. And for those of you that do not speak Chubbles, I will have a translation at the bottom of the screen so that you will know exactly what my little friend is saying. You ready to get started? Alright, so let's get to it. Okay, first up we have Balloon Trip. This was programmed by Blue Swimmer. Really enjoyed this game. It really has, I guess you would say, an Activision feel to it. In this game, you're going around trying to catch the balloons while flapping your arms, trying not to get hit by those other items. Really a fun game. Like I said, it has an Activision kind of feel to it. Definitely one game that I could see coming out back in the early days of Atari and making a big splash. Alright, next up we have Birds and Beans. This is another Blue Swimmer game. Couldn't agree with you more, Chubbles. Really a fun game. I could actually see the programmer making a patch for those who scored pretty high in this. What you are doing is you are this little bird and you are trying to catch these falling beans with your long tongue. If you miss the beans, it makes a hole in the ground, which kind of really inhibits your area of bean catching. Alright, in the tradition of Dark Chambers and Gauntlet, we have Dungeon 2 Solstice, programmed by David Weevil. Totally agree, Chubbles. You don't really see a lot of RPG games for Atari 2600, so this is definitely refreshing. And by John Champeau, a programmer that I interviewed not too long ago, we have Mappy. Now what makes this game interesting is that it was a very popular and very fun arcade game in the 80s. However, it was never ported to any game system in the United States. It was only ported to the Famicom. So this was totally a revolutionary move by Mr. Champeau. And as you can see, this is about as close to the arcade as you can get. The sprites look almost identical. You have the music, you have the large house. I mean, there has not been a better arcade port that I have ever seen for the Atari 2600. Next we have Plague by Fair Jonas Zoltan. I apologize if I mispronounced that, aka Member Atarian. This is one of a kind. This game is definitely one of a kind because it's edgy and dark, something you never see with any Atari 2600 games. And for that alone, I say bravo. Alright, next up we have Refraction by Norbert Landsteiner, aka No Land. This two-player only game brings back memories for me of many of those days playing Combat with my father. Alright, next up we have Sheep It Up by Dr. Ludos. Now, of all the games on this list, this has to be the most original. You are the sheep trying to bounce up higher and higher using the static electricity from your wool. Wow. Where he got this idea for this game, I don't know, but wow, it is so much fun. Alright, next up we have Stripes of Terror by Krzysztof Kluzik, Michael Zukowski, and Mirjaz Gorky. This is a really dark but yet very fun two-player shooting game. What I like about this game are not only the cool sprites, but also the really cool background and the music. Nice job. Sword of Surtur by Jeff Sturmer, aka Ultima, is what you would basically call a hyped up and updated version of Adventure. Obviously, this programmer really enjoys RPG-like games and probably, like many of us, played Adventure a lot as a child. Great job. Really enjoyed it. Love the sprites. Love the action. A plus for sure. Okay, next up we have Tire Tracks. This was programmed by Lewis Hill, aka Muddy Funster. For those of you that were into the Epix games, such as Winter Games, Summer Games, and of course California Games, you're going to love this. It really has like an Epix and or a Activision kind of feel to it, in which you have different events centered around bike riding. Okay, the next Homebrew is a game that I discussed in the episode about games based on the Aliens movie franchise, and this is Apollyon by member Atarian. This is definitely a game that was inspired by the Aliens films, in which you take on the role of the nasty space monster, and you are going around killing humans, trying to rescue your queen and knock out the power to this place. So if you've ever wanted to know what it was like to be the aliens, well, this is your chance. Next up, we have Gizzawap and the Terrible Blizzard of Fern by Jeff Smith, aka Mountain King. This is more like a children's fantasy and kind of like a scavenger hunt kind of game. The graphics and the sprites are just amazing. Really, a lot of work went into this, and it's very original and a little on the quirky side. Horizon Shift is next. This was programmed by Paul Marable of Flump Studios UK. A very interesting take on space shooter. You are trying to protect this area, and you switch back and forth on this horizontal axis, shooting these asteroids and enemy ships. It's really a lot of fun. It starts off pretty easy, but as time goes on, it really tests your reflexes. Next up, we have Monkey King by Alex Petro, aka Cool Crab. In this two-player game, you and a partner are racing to the top of this line, picking up fruit as you go and trying not to bump into stuff. Next up, we have Space Game by Carl Garrison, aka Carl G. and Maggie Vogel. This is a new take on a space shooter. And finally, we have Stardust, programmed by Brian Wayne Shea, aka Metal Babel. This game is a combination of thrust and asteroids. Kind of a fun game, a cool concept. But you better keep control, because if you don't, you're going to crash into something. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Classic Gamer 74. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give us a great big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd like to take this time to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel. We're up to my goal of 50 subscribers. So let's see if we can't make it up to 100. Don't forget to head over to atariage.com and vote for this year's Atari Awards. All the games you saw today have been nominated in the Homebrew category and in others. So head over to AtariAge right now and vote for your favorite homebrews, demos, and hacks. And our next episode will be an AVP episode. No, Troubles, that doesn't stand for Alien vs. Predator. This is Arcade vs. Port. And in this episode, we're going to discuss Pac-Man. And I think you guys are going to really be surprised about how many ports there are of this game. Well, we will see you on the next video. Until that time, have yourselves a great day. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Troubles.